Today on Locked On Rockies, broken, a joke, miserable, terrible, awful. Things continue to be historically bad for the Colorado Rockies.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the first day of May in the year 2024. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. Been following this team my entire life and been bringing you daily Rockies talk here for 4 seasons. Now, today on Locked On Rockies, what else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the team failing, collapsing, embarrassing themselves yet again, and wondering where the accountability will be. We'll also talk about the fact that, hey, even though it didn't work out, I'm giving Ryan Feltner his props, his flowers, because even though we'll get there. But that's what we're going to talk about. I'm sure you're shocked today about all that good stuff. We're going to find out how historically bad the Rockies have been, thanks to our friends at Purple Row. And we'll just, if you think I'm not going to rant and rave, you will be mistaken. And so for those out there that get worried about me when I get fired up by the Rockies, I'm fine. I just am, as usual, incredibly frustrated by this baseball team we choose to love. We'll dive into all that and more today. Before we do that, this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonmlb and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Embarrassing, man. Straight up embarrassing. And they're pros. They're better than me. And I like to give this little disclaimer when I do my armchair quarterbacking here and yelling on my podcast and stuff, because again, I couldn't hit any of those pitches. I'm not a pro baseball player, but a Major League Baseball team having a 5-run lead in the 9th inning should be enough. Plain and simple, flat out. A 5-run lead while you have held the offense in check of your opponent the entire game. And sending Feltner out, right call. The guy was throwing a Maddox. The guy had 70 pitches going into the 9th inning or something like that. I don't have any problem with that. And I don't have any problem with how long he was in there either. You have to let him try to get out of the jam. You have to let him try to get there. But it doesn't matter. Even with that, if you have a 5-run lead in the 9th inning, you have 3 outs to get. You got to get it done. That is unacceptable. What reason do we get as fans to tune in and stuff if that's the expectation? Because that's the expectation for the 2024 Colorado Rockies. They can't get the job done. 5 runs doesn't matter. 10 runs doesn't matter. 30 runs doesn't matter. They're going to blow leads, and it's unacceptable because guess what? In that clubhouse, in that dugout, you have people that no matter what, they're set. They're good. You're done. Your contract signed. You're not going anywhere. For people that think that a firing or a coaching change is going to come, especially right now in the middle of the season, I can't expect it to happen because other clubs would see the performance from this month, a historically bad, technically, depending on the ways you look at it, one of the worst starts in Major League Baseball history. You'd think that there'd be some people that would be in fear of losing their jobs. You'd think that there'd be some repercussions from within the organization, but not the Colorado Rockies. Nah. We're going to sit there and we're going to continue to watch the same thing over and over and over and over and over again because that's how this team runs. If you are Dick Mumford and you sit there and you continually say, I have confidence in this. Let me bring it out. Hold on. I got to bring them out. Let me get him. I told you we were going to revisit these plenty during the season this year. So let me pull them out here. Okay. Let me get I got to get my images here. Okay. From the Denver Post this year. My biggest problem is I hate losing, and it's hard to debate anyone when you are losing, Mumford said. So the best way to quiet them down is to win and win all the time. And that's what we need to do. I feel like we are on the right track. Bringing in someone from the outside is the other of it. the other side of it. And I'm not saying it's totally wrong, but when former GM Jeff Bridich left, there were a lot of people from the outside who interviewed or had interest. They would tell me how to win at altitude and everything they mentioned. It would not have worked, or it's all things we've tried. I think in any business, you have to have people you can trust, and I trust both of them. With Schmidt, it's his third year. I think he has a good handle on it. I think he has a lot of talent to work with. Take the combination of smart baseball people who work hard, who are trustworthy, loyal, and all want to win in Colorado. That's a damn good combination. There aren't going to be any changes. Dick Monfort does not care that this happened. At least it doesn't seem like it. Because other teams, other organizations, other situations, there would be repercussions for this. There would be repercussions for losing your opening day game by 15 runs, 12 runs, whatever it ended up being. There'd be repercussions for a team continuing their worst season ever by following it up with a historically bad first month of the season. Not just bad, historically bad. No team in the entire modern history of Major League Baseball has trailed in as many consecutive games to start a season as the Colorado Rockies. So you follow up your worst season in franchise history with the worst month, one of the worst months statistically in the history. My guys, I got my loyalty. I got my crew. I trust them because if this is who you trust, it's broken. The Rockies are broken from top to bottom. They can't back up their starters, and their starters can't back up their offense when they do it. They've already overworked their bullpen a month into the season, and the bullpen can't get 3 outs with multiple run leads. Justin Lawrence, brother, you are one of the most disappointing Rockies this year. And I love Justin Lawrence. I was high on Justin Lawrence, but you cannot come into a game and hit 2 batters. You cannot throw that game away. That is a pitiful, embarrassing loss. And I've lost a lot of pitiful, embarrassing losses by the Colorado Rockies. It's not the worst loss ever like it was claimed because they have lost in the postseason, but it does not get worse than that. In terms of regular season losses, that is flat out embarrassing. Plain and simple. The Rockies continue to be the embarrassment of Major League Baseball this season. Thank God the White Sox exist. But guess what? They're on the verge of going, and the Rockies will own the basement if they can't show up against a team they opened up with a 5-0 lead about. And that's the other thing. 5-run lead. Great. Awesome. You know how many times the Rockies still ended up striking out in that game? Do you think it's over double digits? Because spoiler alert, it is. The Rockies still are striking out at a near 15 times a game. They struck out 14 times last night. 14 times. No wonder they didn't score after the first inning. And then, of course, Elias Diaz, you got to catch that ball. That ball was perfectly thrown by Hunter Goodman. Like, no more excuses. Do the little things right. The Rockies aren't doing the little things right. When you have a starter on the road that's going to throw a possible complete game. He didn't even throw 100. He was at 70 pitches in the 8th. It is flat out unacceptable for this to be the standard for the Colorado Rockies because we sit there and we can't expect anything to change. They're going to trot out the same lineup. It's going to be the same BS that you hear. I didn't hear it, but it's going to be it's just baseball. I'm waiting for this team to take some sort of accountability. I'm waiting for this team to show us that they can make an adjustment, that there's life, that there's energy. This team is dead on arrival. There's no energy on that team. There's no energy on the field. And you had a chance. You had a moment, the opportunity, a 5-run lead. Slam the door. You're a professional baseball organization. Show it. Prove it. And that goes for the front office. Again, the most of my frustration with all of this lies behind the scene because it doesn't matter. Games like this won't change the front office's mind. Dick Monfort does not care. He has his gang of loyal people. He has the cronies. He's set. He's got his yes men. He's got his people that are going to tell him, don't worry, Dick, we got it. We're set. We got it under control. Don't worry. And Dick's just going to sit there and be fine with it because they're loyal, Because they love him. Because they don't say mean things about Dick Mumford. I don't think I'll get a lot of... Man, dude. Oh, why do you care so much? Why do you get so fired up? Because I like this team. I care about this team. It's literally the biggest connection. The thing that I have, when I left home from Colorado, this is the thing that still makes me like, this is the thing I feel some of the most connection to. And it's just sports. It's dumb. I know they're going to be bad. But like, this stuff matters. Like, if you're a fan, if you care about these teams, if you spend your time, and then that's what you folks do. You choose to spend your time not only watching me and other Rockies stuff and following Rockies baseball, but you spend your time and money supporting this team. And they should respect that. And this year, they haven't respected that. They haven't shown us anything. They haven't shown us any change. They haven't shown us any backbone. They haven't shown us any change. And that includes the players on the field. It's broken completely. Other teams in this situation, other teams would face what the Rockies have faced and make changes. Instead, it's going to be the same old song and dance. It's going to be the same situation. It's going to be the same thing today. We're going to tune in and hope for something different. But this team has proven they can't give us anything different right now. They can't even win 2 games in a row. Can't even win when you have a 5-run lead and hold the opposition to 0 runs for 8 innings. They can't completely play 9 innings. The Rockies, they have shown this year that they cannot play a complete full 9-inning game. It's incredibly disappointing. It's incredibly disappointing for we knew it was going to be bad, but man, this bad? And I haven't even gotten into all the points, the history points. We're going to do that coming up here in segment number 2. Purple Row has got us covered here. We're going to read from our friend Skylar Timmons here on that coming up in segment number 2. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes DoorDash. DoorDash has got you covered for all your Mother's Day needs, whether she's a techie, whether she's helping out around the house, whether she's doing a bunch of travel, outdoorsy, they got you covered because Mother's Day is right around the corner, and you can get gifts as thoughtful as she is with DoorDash. You can select from hundreds of expertly crafted bouquets to the best of tech to self-care essentials and more, delivered right to your door. You can get those thoughtful gifts she deserves with the convenience you need. Choose same-day delivery or schedule a week ahead for when flowers and gifts should arrive to her door with DoorDash. Shop with savings that will make her proud. With a Dash Pass membership, you'll save with a $0 delivery fee and reduced service fees on eligible orders from Dash Pass merchants that meet the minimum subtotal. Other fees, including service fees, apply. Terms do apply as well. Order now and get everything you need for Mother's Day on DoorDash. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get 50% off your next order. That's 50% off your next order when you up to $15 when you spend $15+ on your next flour, convenience, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's Locked On MLB. Order using DoorDash today. Terms do apply. We're also brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. PrizePicks, the number one spot for daily fantasy sports. They got more than 3 million members, and it's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action. While you watch your favorite sports and players, you just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats or categories. That could be home runs, it could be rebounds, it could be goals scored, depending on what sport you're watching. You just pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats, and you can watch those winnings roll in. PrizePicks is the best way to get in on the action in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. They got quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types that are what make PrizePicks the number one fantasy sports app. Get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during the basketball and hockey postseason. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on the PrizePicks app for a first deposit match up to $100. That is code LOCKEDON on PrizePicks. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network or on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show by letting me know what's on your mind and let me know what's on your thoughts when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. Let's go over to Purple Row here. The broken nature of a historically bad Rockies team by friend of the show, Skylar Timmons. And he also says the Colorado Rockies are broken. It's an interesting, theme that we got going along here for the Colorado Rockies. On Tuesday night, we saw them become the first team in the modern era, dating back to 1900, to trail in 29 consecutive games to begin the year, breaking a record held by the 1910 St. Louis Browns. They finished with a record of 7-22 in their first month of games, with 19 of those losses coming in April alone. We saw the Rockies blow a 5-run lead in the ninth for just the third time in franchise history, ultimately losing a game in which they were leading 5-0 in the entire time. Let's see here. Let's fast forward here. 2024 is already one of the most trying seasons in franchise history. Apathy is running at an all-time high for fans who've grown exhausted of a team buried in mediocrity. Mediocrity is even being generous. While it's still early in the season and warmer summer weather is on the way, the Rockies currently rank roughly 17th in team attendance, with an average attendance of 24,824 in their 13 games of Coors Field. Yet, if you were to look at the vast numbers of empty seats at a given game this month, the number of actual attendees is likely to be much more. Let's see here. I'm trying to, I don't want to, there's a lot here. There's a lot here. And I want to see I want you all to go and read this because it really is a good in-depth thing. But I think this highlights a lot of what's going on here. While the players definitely have their part to play in the team's failures, the majority of the blame rests with the powers in control that have failed to give them the structure to flourish, develop, and actually play better. We often hear about how a change of scenery can really do a player good, and we've seen it in many instances of players that have left the Rockies to find success elsewhere. The idea of nature versus nurture seems to be quite applicable to the Rockies organization. Throughout the system, including the big league roster, you can find players with lots of potential and natural talent. We have seen stellar players join the big league rosters and struggle immensely to find sustained success before finding success again in the minors. It's easy to dismiss some players as quadruple A players, but is the Rockies' big league environment conducive to growth at a meaningful rate? The answer to that question is no. They aren't. Until the bad baseball, until bad performance, until something like this actually makes them reconsider, they don't care. They care way more about it is loyalty to the T. If you express your loyalty to Dick Monfort, if you express your loyalty to the front office of the Colorado Rockies, you're most likely safe. Most likely safe. Managers that just suffered the worst season in franchise history, following it up with and then being explored to have a contract extension in the offseason after that season, and then being followed up with this month. Bud Black, you got to do something, buddy. I don't need loosey-goosey, Bud Black, fun guy, cool dude. Hey, baby, let me hit you with the same 7 catchphrases I say all the time. Light a fire under these guys. I understand that they are just as frustrated and more frustrated than us, the fan. Absolutely. They're the ones out there playing it. They're the ones out there that have to watch a 5-run lead evaporate in 1 inning. That sucks. But what is your coaching do? Truly, what is Rockies coaching doing to help them not only break this but prepare? That point, the point of that excerpt from Skylar there, man, it certainly just seems like when people leave Colorado, they just are blown away that other teams have access to all this stuff. Access to analytics, access to this, thoughts on this, breaking down that. Maybe, just maybe, not investing in analytics, not investing into the creative things outside of your team. Maybe continuing to push people out that you did bring in from the organization and continuing to say, we got the people. We have the people we trust. We know who we got. I got my team. They're winners. Maybe that's an impact. Just maybe, Dick Monfort, you don't know how to win. Have you thought about that? Because he ain't winning right now, and you haven't done a lot of winning lately. I mean, you can't sit there and say that we're close. We're on the right path. I got everybody. Oh man, It's a bunch of BS. It's a bunch of crap being spewed from the front office of the organization. If the games like last night don't change your philosophy, don't change your mindset, if games like last night don't piss you off as a member of that team, that's a problem. And right now, I really don't think Dick Monfort cares about anything more than loyalty. He cares more about if you have nice things to say about him and you're buddy-buddy with him than the performance on the field. Because Dick Monfort, you don't know how to win. You don't know how to win. The team has never won the division. The team has never finished outside of a wild card spot. The team hasn't even sniffed the World Series since 2007. The team back-to-back first-round exits, wild card, and then in the division series, followed up by consistent downtrends from the Rockies. Since the playoffs, the Rockies have gotten worse every single year, back to back to back to back. They have not gotten better. They have not improved. It does not matter what young guys. It does not matter if this. Amador's not going to save the Rockies. Romo's not going to save the Rockies. Veen's not going to save the Rockies. Tovar, Doyle, Jones, not going to save the Rockies. Mike Honcho, not going to save the Rockies. The biggest problems with the Rockies are at their core. They are rotten from the inside out. Their terrible approach and philosophy to analytics and to the modern game of Major League Baseball is a huge problem. You do not have the people that are going to get you in the right situation, Dick Monfort. You're wrong. You are wrong. Plain and simple. You've been wrong for years. You continue to be wrong. Your team is not in a competitive situation. Your team is not ready to go. Your team is not on track. They are not on track. And it's so frustrating, man. It is so frustrating to me that this is the standard. This is the expectation. The expectation for the Rockies is for them to be a crapshoot. That's their reputation. That's what they're known as. The Rockies are a joke to the rest of Major League Baseball. Dick Monfort doesn't care, though. I think in any business you have people you can trust, and I trust both of them. With Schmidt in his third year, I think he has a good handle it. I think he has a lot of talent to work with coming. Take the combination of smart baseball people who work hard, who are trustworthy, loyal, and all want to win in Colorado. That's a damn good combination. Bringing in someone from the outside is, this is what he said first, is the other thing. And I'm not saying it's totally wrong, but when former GM Jeff Bridich left, there were a lot of people from the outside who interviewed or had interest. They would tell me how to win at altitude and everything they mentioned. It would not have worked, or it's all things we've tried. What's working right now, Dick? What's working right now? What is your team, your philosophy, your coaching staff, your front office, your organization? What are they doing right now that's working? Because your attendance is down and not a lot of people want to watch this team. I'm not even on the local channel. I'm not even on the 9 News website. Even Colorado doesn't care. Why would Dick Monfort, why would anyone care about you when the Avs and the Nuggets just won playoff rounds 4-1? Irrelevant. It's not working. Nothing about the Rockies is working. You can't sit there and say the Rockies are making positive progress when every year since they made the playoffs, they have declined. And they have declined statistically. They have declined everywhere. But no, you got your crew. You got them. Outside perspectives? Oh, no way. Because certainly there's never been other teams that have won. Certainly there's no other teams with creative things to handle your interesting atmosphere. Man, I wonder if a team built a team around their home park and they started off good. Man, it's almost like they made the World Series last year. Huh. And they were in a similar situation to the Rockies. You think Arizona was ever feeling like this? Because they had a couple of bad seasons, but it was like 2. And then they bounced back, and then they made it to the World Series. We're still wondering when the next time the Rockies even have a chance at getting to the playoffs is. It is not working, Dick. The Colorado Rockies are broken from the top down. And the message continues to be for Dick Monfort. He truly is the one that controls things. And his loyal boys club mentality will sink the Rockies further because you need to bring in outside people. You need to bring in change. You need to bring in something different because it ain't working. Quick break, and I do want to at least give our flowers to Ryan Feltner for that start last night. He deserves it because even with how things ended up, that's a start you don't see every day for the Rockies, and that team needs to back him up and get the win. Coming up in segment number 3. Today's episode of Locked On Rockies is brought to you by Monopoly Go. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying, flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with your friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock, and there's so much to get. You can get unique stickers. You can trade with friends to complete it for albums, for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. I love the playing pieces in Monopoly. It's one of my small little favorite things about the game. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now, free on the Google Play or App Store. Game on. Locked On Rockies podcast, wrapping things up. Hey, a reminder, you can get all your Rockies action on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. You also can go check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 live stream. If you're looking for an alternative to the cable sports news network experience, 24/7 sports talk from the local experts here on Locked On. The Rockies do lose that game last night, but Ryan Feltner, 8 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned, and 3 strikeouts. Obviously, at the end there, that was a bummer. The 3 earned was tough, especially with how things went down in the 9th. But the guy was dealing. The guy was money. And in reality, the offense needs to back him up more. I mean, the offense completely going non-existent for the rest of the game until the 10th is unacceptable. When your pitcher is rolling like that, when you have the other team that, you need to continue to put the foot on the gas. You need to continue to put the foot on the throat. You need to get the job done. Because Ryan Feltner continues to do these things. He's giving you solid starts, and you know it's not going to be perfect, but you got to be able to back him up. But at its core, and one of my biggest frustrations I have with how this turned out, and when we're talking about people that need to be held accountable, Foster. This pitching staff, it should 3 pitchers to get 3 outs in that inning. Ridiculous. It shouldn't do that. Justin Lawrence, man, holy smokes. The command control. You can't be hitting people on 0-2. You can't be hitting multiple people in the 9th. Free chances. It's just the lack of discipline. It's the lack of clutch. It's the lack of ability to close out games. That's what's so frustrating. This team isn't prepared. They're not ready to go. They're not ready to handle these situations. And it goes back on why does Scott Foster's job continue to be safe when he has done nothing to help this pitching staff? Where is pitching focused Bud Black, pitching manager Bud Black coming in and working and helping these guys? I understand the talent level might not be where you're at, but Ryan freaking Feltner, the last guy in your rotation, is out there dealing, throwing 8 innings. You got to come in and do it. I don't care how overworked you are. Throw a freaking fastball over the plate that isn't in the middle of the zone so they don't hit it for a double in the gap. Wasted, man. Another prime start, another opportunity, another quality start by Colorado Rockies starting pitching that the Rockies fart away and lose. Broken, man. Broken. Can't even give Feltner his props because he still ends up giving up the 3. Got to close out the games. Got to be better. Got to be better everywhere. And right now, the Rockies aren't doing that. The Rockies are broken. And until serious change comes to this team, it's going to happen again and 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 again. I'm out of steam, folks. Wrapping it up here. Locked On Rockies, thank you so much for joining us today. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB. Got you covered for the rest of the storylines In terms of baseball, and if you want to hear about successful Colorado sports teams, go listen to the Colorado Avalanche podcast we have on the network, Locked On Avalanche, and of course, Locked On Nuggets as well. If you need more your Broncos coverage, check out Locked On Broncos and everything going on with Primetime up in Boulder there with Locked On Buffs. I'm Paul Holden, host of your Locked On Rockies podcast, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Hey, things are going to look a little different in terms of programming for the show. Going to probably wait until after the game tomorrow to record. Ideally going to be doing it with Peter Pratt of Locked On Marlins, and then we're going to preview the series with the Pirates on Friday with Ethan Smith of Locked On Pirates. No episode on Monday. I will not have an episode coming out on Monday the 6th. I'm doing some traveling and will be unable to do so. So just a couple of notes for you. The episode will be up later than usual tomorrow as we're going to react and break down the series there since it's that early day game against Miami. So we're going to hopefully hop on with Peter Pratt of Locked On Marlins, break down the series there after that tomorrow, and then Locked On Pirates preview coming up on Friday. Folks, until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.